A warm welcome to Miller Park in Milwaukee. The Brewers are set to take on the Cincinnati Reds as Central Division foes battle. This Brewers-Reds series on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Burger King. It's the first of a 6-game homestand for the Brewers, and they'll start with Marco Estrada out on the hill, making his 4th start of the year, the first though since April 28th, and he is set to face Bronson Arroyo, making his 6th start of the year. His ERA just over 3 for a very good Cincinnati pitching staff. They've done well to start the season so far here in the Central Division. And it is the first meeting between these two clubs this season, and they had quite a battle, especially here at Miller Park. In fact, if you go over the last 10 games here at Miller Park, these two teams have split those 10 meetings. Cincinnati, one of the few teams in the league that has had success here at Miller Park, but it has not come easy. The Brewers have come from behind 5 times to get their 5 wins. They have been close. Look at the 1-run wins by each club. There have been 6 total. Out of those 10s, the runs match up, the total hits match up as well. So we should be in store for a fun 3-game series coming up here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And Marco Estrada could be seeing red. Cincinnati's offensive lineup loaded at the plate with Votto, Bruce, and company. It's the Brewers and Reds next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Sports Wisconsin is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, because when friends come together, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Toyota, when you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Well, after a very tough road trip, Miller Park never looked so good. And it's Marco Estrada, 9 days of rest. He is on the mound, getting a chance against a division rival today, the Cincinnati Reds. 2 of the best hitters in the game. Jay Bruce, you see his career against the Brewers, very good numbers. He's currently 2nd in the league in homers. Meanwhile, Joey Votto, 15 homers, a .329 career batting average against Milwaukee in a very large sample size. Hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. It is great to be here, and the Brewers are certainly hoping for a little recharge rock after they go 3-6 on the last road trip. Terrible news with Alex Gonzalez is going to be out for the season. So put all that bad news aside, the Brewers are going to turn the ball over to Marco Estrada, and hoping Marco can be that guy that takes him to the next level.
Well, he did it last year, and he's been doing it so far this year in the starting rotation. In Marco's last two starts against Colorado and to begin the road trip that the Brewers just finished, 2 runs in 11 innings of pitch in his 2 starts. The question that you have about Marco right now is the fact that, as you mentioned, he hasn't pitched in 9 days, so he might be a little bit rusty, and that's very important for a control pitcher, particularly a guy that relies on that changeup, and he has to keep it down. And the 2 guys he really has to concern himself with, Jay Bruce, Joey Votto. You talked about the numbers that they have been able to put up against the Brewers. You know, these 2 guys, since they both came up in 08, have been 2 of the top run producers, 2 of the top run-producing tandems in all of baseball.
Well, and it looks like Jay Bruce, who leads his club in the 3 major categories, is ready to be an MVP candidate, perhaps. Home sweet home. Miller Park starts a homestand tonight. The Brewers and the Cincinnati Reds go at it for the first time this season. And we're just about set for baseball tonight at beautiful Miller Park. And it has never looked so good as the Brewers get set for a homestand against division opponents. You got the Reds for 3. The Chicago Cubs will be here for the weekend series. And Marco Estrada ready to lead his Brewers out onto the field. Now he fills a big spot in that rotation left by Chris Narveson. Another season-ending injury for Milwaukee. Dusty Baker has had his fair share of injuries as well, including his closer, Ryan Madson. But the Cincinnati Reds coming off a series win against Pittsburgh, and they are a game over 500. Let's give you the Piggly Wiggly batting order for Dusty Baker's Reds. Zach Cozart, rookie shortstop. Drew Stubbs and Joey Votto. Middle of the order is Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, and Scott Rowland. Bottom three, Chris Heisey, Ryan Hannigan, and Bronson Arroyo, who has been very good against the Brewers in his career. That's the batting order that will face Marco Estrada, Rock.
And our Burger King scouting report from Marco. It may be a little bit rusty to start this one out. We mentioned 9 days off between starts for Estrada. He's got to be able to throw that fastball on the corners. This is a very aggressive hitting ball club, these Reds. And that changeup, that's his best pitch. He's got to keep it down in the zone. These guys can hit home runs.
Here is the Menards Brewers defense with Ryan Braun, Richka Aoki, and Corey Hart in the outfield. Around the horn, it's Aramis Ramirez. Now Cesar Izturis is the shortstop. Ricky Weeks and Travis Ishikawa. Jonathan Lucroy does the catching. And Estrada on the mound. He's a good defender. Dan Isonia is the home plate umpire tonight. Dale Scott, C.B. Buckner, and Bill Miller on the bases. And there is the crew chief, Dale Scott. Brewers Reds first matchup of the season. Milwaukee coming in with a record of 12-16. The Brewers are 6-6 in their home ballpark. And the overall numbers for Marco Estrada, he's making just his third start. And a lot of questions about the rust and how he will be with his command here today. He's a control pitcher. And he's ready to get his evening started. It's a fastball, and it's a strike, and away we go. Zach Cozart leads off for Cincinnati. Cozart, very talented rookie shortstop for the Reds. And he's off to a good start in his rookie campaign. Saw a little bit of him last year, but an injury knocked him out. You see what he's done this year in 27 games. He's hit for a .275 batting average. Couple of home runs and 6 runs batted in. One of the many young faces on this Cincinnati ball club. And somewhere, somehow, the Cincinnati Reds found the money tree in their backyard. They've been signing a lot of their faces of the franchise to long-term deals.
Yep, Jay Bruce, you got Joey Votto, you got Brandon Phillips, all these guys with big-time deals. It's a good combination, a good, mix of veteran players that have had a lot of success in the big leagues and some young players that they're trying to sprinkle in. But their pitching has, been very good so far this year. That was a problem for them last year.
Now the Reds would be the first to tell the Brewers fans how tough it is to defend a division championship. You play deep into a season, you log those extra innings on the mound, those stressful postseason innings. And the Brewers are off to a sluggish start in 2012. I think most of those who covered these teams, who know this division well, had the Cardinals, the Reds, the Brewers all as the 3 teams that would contend for a division crown this season. Cincinnati got off to a sluggish start as well, but they've bounced back. And the Brewers are looking for their hot streak as Cozart putting together a long at-bat here to start the ball game.
And Ron Rennick is hoping that his starting rotation is going to start getting to that consistent level that they were last year. Take a little bit of pressure off the offense. They've been much better lately, talking about the starters.
Now the Brewers go on a 9-game road trip, win just 3 times, go 3-6. And 2 players going on the disabled list out with season-ending injuries. Alex Gonzalez and Matt Gamble as Cozart lifts one deep to left field. Braun going back at the track, makes the catch. Feeling his way to the wall. Cozart is retired. Now the Cincinnati Reds, Jay Bruce is their leader in average home runs and RBIs. He's second in the league, tied with Braun in home runs. Joey Votto leads the league in doubles. He's out what you would consider to be a slow start by his standards. And the pitching, as Rock mentioned, has been a huge story, Rock, especially the bullpen for Cincinnati.
Yeah, they have the best earned run average of any bullpen in the National League at a little over 2.4 runs per 9 innings. And their starters have been pretty good, and that was really a trouble point for Dusty Baker last year, the pitching.
Here is Drew Stubbs. He seems to have found a home in the 2-hole for the Cincinnati Reds. This is his 12th game hitting second, and Stubbs is hitting .373 in that role. He hit leadoff a good part of the season last season. He was part of the Reds' postseason run. As a matter of fact, you might remember that Cincinnati acquired Jim Edmonds for their pennant race in 2010. But Stubbs beat him out. There's a liner to center. Aoki is right there. Got a little burnout on his way to the baseball. Dug up a pretty good divot out in center field, but he makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, there's that speed, that closing speed for Aoki. Stubbs didn't hit that one very well. Down on a trademark a little bit. It froze Aoki for a second, but he's able to make up for the bad jump and make the catch.
Aoki was a 6-time Gold Glove Award winner in Japan, and getting the start in center field today. A strike to Joey Votto. It's hard to say 293, 2 homers, 16 RBIs is a slow start, but the numbers he's put up the last few years would classify Votto. He's a victim of his own success.
Right, and a couple of years ago he was an MVP, and when you play half your games at Great American Ballpark, yeah, that is a slow start. That is a good ballpark to hit home run, just like Miller Park, as opposed to the 2 ballparks that the Brewers just came from. Tough to hit homers.
Now an MVP season 2 seasons ago, .324 hitter with 37 runs batted in. Those numbers dipped a little, not much, but a little last year. Signed a monster contract. Long-term deal. There was a lot of question whether Votto was going to be able to remain a Red. He wanted to play in Cincinnati, but the deal that the Brewers could not do for Prince Fielder, the Reds somehow found a way to do it for Votto, and he rips that one deep right. Corey Hart with room. 3 well-hit balls, but 3 outs. And here come the Brewers. After a very rough road trip, but time to move on in the manager's words, and the Brewers are hoping to use this homestand to get started. Piggly Wiggly batting order for Reneke with Aoki, Weeks, and Braun at the top, and then it's Ramirez, Hart, and Lucroy. Bottom 3, Ishikawa, Isturis, and Estrada. And how about Bronson Arroyo, partner?
Yeah, he's healthy again. He pitched last year with a back that was giving him problems that affect his velocity. He'll throw from different arm angles, and he gives up a lot of home runs.
That is a foul ball off the bat of Aoki. Close call over at first base. You saw the Burger King scouting report.
Bronson Arroyo gave up 46 home runs last year. That was the most in all of the National League, but he has certainly turned things around. He has been throwing the baseball very well. He's allowed 4 home runs, and look at the earned run average of 3.03 in his first 5 starts.
And does this guy have some kind of track record against the Milwaukee Brewers? I mean, there are no secrets for Arroyo and many of these Brewer hitters, and vice versa. Although the man he's facing now, Aoki, has never seen him. Bronson Arroyo in his career has made 24 appearances, 21 starts, has an 11-8 record with a 3.82 ERA. And that includes a 9-run game in just 1 inning a few years back in 09. He's always pitched well against Milwaukee, and he has pitched well at Miller Park, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because he's a fly ball pitcher.
The fly ball pitcher here is not very good, and certainly not very good at Great American Ballpark, but he does have a large array of different off-speed pitches that, you know, can really tie you up. He'll throw those off-speed pitches at different arm angles, so he's effective against lefties and righties.
Aoki retired, flies out to Chris Heisey. Elsewhere in the outfield, it's Stubbs and Bruce. And around the horn, Scott Rowland, who was off yesterday, Zach Cozart, Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto. Ryan Hannigan does the catching. Bronson Arroyo on the mound, who won a Gold Glove just a couple of years ago. And Rock, this is a very good defensive Cincinnati ball club. Always better when Scott Rowland is in the lineup, and after a day off yesterday, he's back in there.
Yeah, they're 5th in the National League in team defense. They've committed 16 errors. Well, one goes with the other, right? Good pitching, you have to have good defense to back it up. Cincinnati really hasn't found its stride offensively, and the reason that they have been able to stay over 500 is because of their pitching.
Ricky Weeks batting in the 2-hole once again. This is going to take some time, according to the Brewers manager, to see how Weeks settles into that second spot in the batting order. Trying to get his bat hot, and the idea is that he's going to see a lot more strikes, much better pitches to handle with Ryan Braun hitting behind Weeks, as opposed to a number 2 hitter.
Yeah, the problem is, who do you have leading off, right? It's somebody different all the time because the Brewers have a platoon going out in center field. It will be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
1-2 on Weeks, and that one's driven into right center. Stubbs is on the run, and cutting in front of him, Jay Bruce for the second out. We've seen some long fly ball outs already.
Now the Powerball home run leaderboard. Ryan Braun with a big road trip. He had 4 home runs. He's got 8. Corey Hart went homerless on the 9-game trip. He's right behind him. The thing about the Brewers, they score a lot of their runs with the home run ball. They really didn't hit many on the road trip.
Now Braun had that big game in San Diego, hit 3 homers against the Padres in the first game of that series in San Diego. Had that historical night. A lot of fly ball outs here.
Man, Drew Stubbs wanted it, but Jay Bruce says, I don't care if you're a center fielder, I'm going to take it.
I'm Jay Bruce, and I'll be making this catch. So 2 gone for Arroyo with Braun at the plate. Ryan's still not 100%. I spoke to him before the ball game, and I asked him about his Achilles injury. It's very tight. He's concerned about it, but he says it doesn't affect him in any way other than the full out run. You know, if he has to score from first on a batted ball into the gap, that's the one area that concerns him. But he's not going to be running much.
Yeah, running straight and having to stop quickly can give you a problem with that Achilles. And you got to figure it's got to be bothering him just a little bit in the batter's box. And those Achilles injuries, they don't go away overnight. It's going to take a while.
Well, he injured that Achilles in San Diego. That was in the day game on Wednesday. Braun hits that one high in the air to center. Back is Stubbs at the wall, looking up. There it goes. Ryan Braun can jog around this time as he puts the Brewers on the board 1-0 with his 9th home run of the season.
Now the second home run for Ryan Braun against Bronson Arroyo. We talk about Arroyo gives up a lot of home runs. Number 9 on the year for Brawny. Looked like a pitch right down the middle of the plate. Check that, 4th home run allowed to Ryan Braun by Arroyo. This one to dead center field. Maybe it doesn't bother him, that Achilles in the batter's box. What do you think?
Incentive to jog. Just hit one out. You don't have to push that Achilles around the base paths.
Yeah, 4th home run against Arroyo, not 2nd.
Ramos Ramirez, a big cut. Now that home run by Braun, his 9th and his 2nd in the National League all by himself. He separates himself from Jay Bruce. Matt Kemp still the National League leader with 12 home runs. Ryan Braun driving in number 19 on the season. No balls and 2 strikes on Ramos Ramirez. And he lays off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Ramirez starting to get things going a little bit. Ramos got off to such a slow start. Comes in batting .214, and when you consider where he was in the low 100s and at one point even dipping under 100, he's actually been able to do some damage. And Ramirez now with 14 runs batted in.
Yeah, a couple of RBIs in yesterday's game on outs. So might not be getting his base hits, but in yesterday's game, Ramirez with a sacrifice fly, and he brought in a run on a base hit in the 1st inning.
Well, Ramirez has hit in 4 in a row. He's driven in 4 runs during that stretch. Plenty of experience against Bronson Arroyo as well. Ramirez has 54 career at-bats against Arroyo, but he has not fared all that well, hitting just .185 against him. 2-2 to Ramirez. 3 balls, 2 strikes. I think the best way to describe Arroyo, tantalizing.
He's only going to throw you strikes if you make him. If you show him you're going to swing at pitches out of the zone, and particularly when he's ahead in the count, he's not gonna. His 10th full season, Bronson Arroyo. He snapped a string of 200 or more innings last year, and he had 199.
Oh man,
1 inning short
in a game that is infatuated with round numbers. He couldn't pitch 1 more inning.
1 more inning, that's all.
Well, the bouncer over to 3rd. Scott Rowland, still a great defender, takes care of Ramirez, and the inning is over. But Ryan Braun goes deep, number 9 for number 8, and the Brewers have a 1-0 lead as we go to the 2nd. deep. His 9th home run of the season, and it gives the Brewers the early lead against Cincinnati tonight. And now Marco Estrada back on the hill to start his 2nd inning of work. Brandon Phillips will lead off for the Redlegs. Phillips, Jay Bruce, Scott Rowland started. Estrada worked through a 1-2-3 first inning. 3 well-hit balls, however, in that inning. Marco takes over the spot vacated by Chris Narveson. And Estrada, because of the off days on this past road trip, he has not pitched in a while. It's been 9 days since Estrada last worked, and we'll see how the rust is for Estrada. But he was ready in the bullpen, and that goes to some extent, Rock, the fact that he was, loosening up in the bullpen at times, preparing to be a reliever. His mind was in the game as a relief pitcher, but still facing competition. That's where you build it up, and Estrada are going to be very careful with his pitch count tonight.
And in his 2 starts, I mean, he was very good. I mean, give up only 2 earned runs. Both of those had come against the Cardinals in his last start. Did a great job against Colorado. So Marco's been very good. Ron Renicky electing to skip him and keep everybody on their regular rest.
Well, Estrada took a loss against the Cardinals his last time out. That was on the 28th of April. And he went 6 innings in that game. His pitch count finished at 78. So in his 2 starts, he's thrown 78 pitches. And he'll be right around that spot here today as well, as Phillips tomahawks one into right field. Long run for Hart, closing on it, and Corey Hart comes away with a baseball. The out is recorded as Hart goes crashing into the wall.
Corey covering a lot of ground in foul territory. Not much of it down there. He had a long way to go, but home field advantage. He knows that corner very well and hauls it in.
I think Ron Renicky has seen enough Brewers go crashing into walls lately. So anytime you see that, you hold your breath. But Hart made a nice play. Now it's Jay Bruce, sitting on a 9-game hitting streak. A .309 career hitter against Milwaukee, and hitting .300 this season. During the 9-game hit streak, Rock, he's hitting .424.
You talk about a streaky hitter. Jay Bruce's picture's in the dictionary right there, and he is red hot now. He can be real hot or real cold, and depending on how you catch him, but he can really hurt you like he is right now.
One ball, 2 strikes on Bruce. And a changeup, a beauty. Bruce out in front of it. Ramirez with room for out number 2. As we check in with Telly Hughes, and the injury bug has bitten the Brewers in a big way, Telly, and they're trying to move forward now.
They absolutely are, BA. Alex Gonzalez, right knee. His MRI on his right knee confirmed what was widely speculated. It is, in fact, a torn ACL. The next step is to wait for the swelling to subside before a surgery date is made. And Ron Renicky said this is just another devastating blow. And you could tell that this one really hit Ron Renicky hard, because he understands what Alex Gonzalez brings to this team and everything he brings to this team.
Yeah, one of the best defensive shortstops in all of baseball. I mean, he's been like that for a while. It's going to be tough to replace Matt Gamble. I mean, you got some guys that can fill in, give you some at bats, but it's going to be very difficult to try and make up for the defense that you get with Gonzalez. It really is.
Well, Alex Gonzalez is one of those players who makes everybody better. He is the shortstop, and in baseball, that is the captain of the infield, the man who controls everything. That's why it's so important to have a good shortstop. Izturis has won a Gold Glove as a shortstop. How much playing time he'll get will be the concern for Ron Renicky, because he's going to be the everyday guy, but Renicky's going to have to be very careful in watching the innings for Cesar Izturis, who's coming off of a pretty significant injury himself a year ago. In the news last week, 3 ACL injuries. Mariano Rivera, Matt Gamble, and Alex Gonzalez, 2 of the 3 in the Brewers camp. Little bouncer over to Ramirez. He cuts it off, takes care of Rolen, and Estrada has retired 6 straight. Wisconsin presented by Burger King. 1-0 on a Ryan Braun first inning homer. The Brewers have the lead going into the bottom of the second. Corey Hart will lead off against Arroyo. And a sweeping breaking ball in there for a strike. Hart comes in batting .258. 6 home runs, 13 driven in. Second on the club in home runs for the Brewers right now. And the Brewers would love to see Hart get on a hot streak. He began the season that way. Had 4 early home runs in the first 10 days of the season. Yeah, he can hit them in bunches as well.
Yeah, just like Bruce. I mean, they can get real hot. They can cool off a little bit. And Ron Renneke hoping that the top of his order starts to get as hot as Ryan Braun's been swinging the bat.
Now Corey Hart missed most of the spring with a knee injury, but not the kind that ends a season. It was a torn meniscus. Matter of fact, he missed less than a month from the time of the surgery until the time that he returned to baseball activities on the field, as Arroyo punches out Corey Hart.
That ball looked inside. Dan Iasonian, home plate umpire. That ball looked like it was inside. Let's check it out. That ball's not a strike. Got rung up. That's not a good call, especially since Hannigan once had baseball on the outside corner. That ball was inside and high. Well, yeah, if Bronson Arroyo gets that pitch tonight, could be a long night.
1 gone, a backwards K for Arroyo, his first strikeout. And Lucroy whistles one right to the former Gold Glover, Brandon Phillips. Makes it look easy. 2 outs.
Hey, tickets to Spring Madness May 21st to the 23rd are half price. Plus small Pepsi products and Clements hot dogs are $1 each. Some restrictions apply. Visit brewers.com/madness.
Good to see some friendly faces here at Miller Park. And with all of the rain in the area, thunderstorms rolling through here the last few days, good to have a roof on the building as well. Although I see some sun shining through the windows here.
Yeah, trying to pop through. Kind of a bouncy flight in from San Francisco last night on the final descent.
Shake a few things up.
You know I don't like that too much, but hey, we made it. Any landing that you can talk about is a good one.
That's right. Ishikawa goes down the line. That's going to go to the wall. Travis Ishikawa rolling into second base with a double. Well, the man who is replacing Matt Gamble starting to pick up some extra base hits. That's his second double in as many hits now for Ishikawa.
Yeah, it looked like a high changeup, and Ishikawa does a nice job slapping that one down the left field line. Ishikawa came up with a huge double in yesterday's ball game to tie it. So consecutive at-bats with 2 base hits for Ishikawa.
Ishikawa safe at second, safe and secure. New York Life. Third double of the season for Ishikawa. And he's at second with 2 away for Cesar Izturis. Now Izturis steps into a big spot on this Brewers roster. And he's a guy who has had plenty of activity at the shortstop position. He's been thought of as one of the better defensive shortstops in the National League at one point when he was a Los Angeles Dodger. Little tapper, just foul. Votto trying to get there before it rolled foul, to no avail. Now, Izturis and Alex Gonzalez very close. They both call Venezuela home, and there is a great tradition of Venezuelan shortstops that Izturis and Alex Gonzalez try to hold up. And while Izturis is very disappointed for the year, he certainly has to be looking forward to getting the chance to play every day. No balls, 2 strikes. Count goes to 1-2 on Cesar Izturis.
Well, the plan is for the Brewers, for Izturis to take the job over on an everyday basis. The Brewers do have Edwin Masonette on the bench just in case they need to pinch hit for Izturis, or maybe give him a day off. But it's going to be Izturis' job to lose, according to Ron Renicky. Awfully difficult to pick up an impact shortstop in a trade at this point in the year. Just very difficult to do that.
Well, and especially with the extra wild card team, that trade deadline, it's going to be a lot more teams in it. A lot more teams are going to feel like they have a chance to make it to the postseason. There's Edwin Masonette.
Got in the game late yesterday in San Francisco. He's got some big league time with the Astros.
Very steady shortstop. We've seen a lot of him the last couple of years in spring training. Now there is a significant challenge trying to replace the shortstop position, which is why there's so much discussion about Alex Gonzalez and how that hurts the club so much. If you've got a good shortstop, there's no way you'd give him up right now. It's pretty much the way it goes in Major League Baseball at this point of the season. There's a strike called, a sidearm breaking ball. Iasonia rings up Izturis, and the home plate umpire not making many friends here at Miller Park early. Goodness.
I'm pleased to be joined by the Brewers Chief Operating Officer, Rick Schlesinger, who is here to tell us about some of the things going on here at Miller Park, starting with this weekend when Dale Swaim's Cubs are here.
Yeah, always a big weekend when the Cubs are in town. We have a few tickets left, but we'll sell out all those 3 games. And unlike prior years, this is going to be a marquee crowd this weekend. We've got a lot of Brewers fans who have purchased tickets, less so from Chicago, which is always good. We want to have home field advantage and have the home fan advantage when we play the Cubs here. And then before you know it, Spring Madness, May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd against the Giants. Tickets $38 and less or half price. $1 hot dogs, $1 sodas, always popular. Usually get big crowds for that as well.
Well, as always, good things going on here at the ballpark. And we want to remind fans Giovanni Gallardo bobblehead day this Sunday as well to kick off some of that Spring Madness.
Yeah, we're going to have a big bobblehead. Obviously, those are always popular. It's the second of our bobbleheads and 4 more to go. And Giovanni, it's been a while, and it's time for him to have his bobblehead.
All right, Rick, thanks for your time, and we'll check back in with you shortly.
Thanks, Telly.
All right, BA, back up to you.
Okay, Telly, thanks. Thanks to Rick Schlesinger. Going to be a fun homestand. Hoping you'll make plans to be with us here at Miller Park. Always a great experience. This is the part of the schedule the Brewers are certainly hoping to take advantage of their home ballpark as Estrada strikes out Chris Heisey. Good breaking ball for the strikeout. First strikeout for Marco.
Really showing no signs of any rust. Marco Estrada keeping the ball down. He's been on the corners. That breaking pitch that's down in the dirt, exactly where you want it with 2 strikes.
You know, Rock, the Brewers are going to play 12 of their next 16 games here at Miller Park. A couple of off days in that grouping as well. So this is going to be a stretch of games where, you know, when you're done with this 16-game stretch, which will conclude with a homestand against the Giants on May 23rd, you want to be able to look back at the standings, and hopefully you're going to call that road trip the Brewers just left as the low point, you know, the bottoming out, the valley.
Well, and again, any team that hopes to contend has got to play well at home. I don't know if the Brewers, you know, are able to back up years with their home schedule like they did last year, but certainly coming in at 6-6, the Brewers would like to improve that on this homestand. You talk about, you know, the schedule. The only road games in that stretch is a couple of 2-game series on the road at New York and at Houston. Somewhat unusual scheduling for the Brewers in May.
And that'll be the only road trip in this block of games coming up. Brewers won 57 games at Miller Park last year. It was the best in baseball. 57 of the 96 wins. Ron Renicky doesn't want to get into the parallels, but there are some parallels to last year about this time. The Brewers found themselves 5 back. They were, you know, between 5 and 6 games under 500. There's a broken bat. Ramirez will glove it and take care of Ryan Hannigan, the Reds catcher, out number 2. A reminder that weekdays on Fox Sports Wisconsin, it's the Dan Patrick Show. Don't miss exclusive guests, including high-profile athletes and celebrities, breaking sports news, and, of course, unparalleled insider access. The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays, 8 a.m., Fox Sports Wisconsin. Estrada's retired 8 straight, facing the pitcher Bronson Arroyo, who rips one to left but right at Braun, and it's 9 in a row retired by Marco Estrada. Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, your ticket to more. And by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. As we head to the bottom of the third inning, our Carsug.com email the booth question. Tom in Racine wants to know, how do the recent injuries and new faces being called up affect team chemistry? Good question for our former big leaguer.
Yeah, guys have to get to know each other a little bit, but everybody that's been called up has appeared in spring training, for the Brewers over the last few years, except for Vinny Chalk. I don't think it's going to affect it too much, although you have to just keep moving on. I mean, you can't make excuses for not performing and not winning ball games. I mean, chemistry is one of those things that you can point to, but winning teams don't always have good chemistry.
Right.
It's all about winning. It doesn't matter how guys get along. Now, but anytime you have a new shortstop, though, I mean, Ricky's going to have to get to know his tourist a little bit. I mean, sometimes when those two work together throughout the spring and the early part of the season, it's almost as if they know what each other's going to do before they do it. That's going to take some time.
Oh, Ryan Braun made a good point before the game today, saying every team's dealing with injuries. A lot of the top teams in every division, you can go through just about every roster and talk about some injuries. The Cincinnati Reds certainly have dealt with some bad news before their season even began. Ryan Matson, their closer, out for the year. As Estrada strikes out for the first out of the inning. First it was Gamble. Tore his ACL in his right knee, the anterior cruciate ligament, and then Braun Wednesday during the day game, he had to leave the game with a tightness in his Achilles. Carlos Gomez on Friday. These are all games in order. Gomez left with a hamstring injury, ended up on the disabled list, and then Saturday, a devastating injury to Alex Gonzalez.
And don't forget about Chris Narveson. I mean, that was the first of the string of bad luck for Milwaukee.
4 straight days on the road trip with a player leaving the game due to injury, and some significant injuries at that. Here's Votto, nice play on Aoki, and there is out number 2.
And Votto feels his position extremely well. We talked about the Reds, how good they have been defensively, and Bronson Arroyo being a good athlete, able to get there in plenty of time. Good job by Votto to angle back, get the good hop, and get the out.
Votto has made himself an excellent first baseman. He's spent a lot of time working on that part of his game. He's a complete player. Not only is he a great hitter, but can handle the glove at first as well. 2 outs for Ricky Weeks.
You think about it, there aren't too many better defensive infields in the National League. You talk about Rowland, and they really like Cozart at shortstop. Brandon Phillips has always been very good.
Yeah, Dusty Baker has an excellent pitching staff, outstanding defense. He's got some guys locked up long term, so they're going to be around a while. Guys like Brandon Phillips, who has 3 Gold Gloves, including the Gold Glove the last 2 seasons in the National League. Cincinnati coming off a series against Pittsburgh. They won 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. They made a trade this offseason, trading away Edinson Volquez for Matt Latos. It was Latos who started yesterday, and Latos was outstanding. 6 shutout innings for the Reds yesterday, part of their victory over the Pirates. Slow roll into third. Roland. And a low throw dug out by Votto. Weeks is retired. Arroyo has a 3 up and 3 down third inning.
Ryan Braun in the first inning, his 9th of the year, giving the Brewers and Marco Estrada a 1-0 lead. Bronson Arroyo is only allowed the 1 run on a couple of strikeouts, and Marco Estrada 9 up, 9 down through 3 innings.
So Estrada back on the mound to start his 4th inning of work. And he is back at the top of the batting order. Zach Cozart, who led off with a long fly ball out to left field. The Reds have hit the ball hard first time through. Cozart sends that one deep to left center. Long run, Aoki. And that ball is gone. Zach Cozart with a home run. And the Reds have tied it. Home run number 3 for the rookie shortstop, Cozart.
It didn't even sound like he got all of it. It sounded like it was a little bit on the end of the bat, but it carried pretty well. Yeah, first pitch ambushing a fastball and right down the middle, and that's what Marco has to, be cautious of. First pitch fastballs with too much of the plate, and Cozart, the leadoff hitter, able to knock one into the Brewers bullpen.
And now it'll be Drew Stubbs. He hits that one high and deep. That is way back. Aoki at the track, and that one's off the top of the wall. Stubbs into second base with a double. 2 well hit balls to start this 4th inning against Estrada.
Yeah, both of them first pitches. That last one to Stubbs, a curveball though. And not much you can do about that if you're Marco Estrada. Trying to get a get me over curveball down the middle, but Stubbs apparently waiting for it and nearly hit that one out. Sounded like off the bat it was a home run, but Aoki plays it well off the bottom of the wall.
Keeps the speedy Drew Stubbs to a double. So the first 2 hits for the Reds coming back to back here in the 4th inning, and now Votto is up with the go ahead run at second. And a strike on Votto.
Looks like a rather high strike zone tonight for Dan Iasonia. That last pitch to Votto looked up, and it was a changeup.
Calling it by the letter of the rule book.
About time, huh?
All these years later.
100 and some years.
Who knew? That one's on the outside corner. Good fastball for Estrada, and it's 0-2. Yeah, by the rulebook standards, the strike zone is from the letters, the armpits, down to the knees.
Down to the bottom of the knees. Yep.
But it is rarely called up there.
Yeah, right around the belt. It's a little bit too high these days.
Pitchers would tell you the strike zone is pretty much the belt to just above the knees. That little bitty coffee can you try to put a pitch into at home plate.
That's the way it's been, that's for sure.
No balls, 2 strikes. Votto a good hitter with 2 strikes. And doesn't chase. That's why he's such a good hitter. That's a strikeout pitch for a lot of hitters in this league. And Joey Votto has a great eye.
Nice short slider from Marco down in the dirt. You don't want to be hanging breaking balls with 2 strikes to this guy. He's a good contact hitter. He likes to use left field, and Jonathan just able to get that glove enough to knock it down.
Votto came in with the 4th highest on base percentage in the National League. Doesn't chase. Votto's on base percentage is at .446 currently, after he flew out to right field in the 1st inning. Stubbs very fast at second. It would be tough to throw him out on a base hit to the outfield. Two and two now to Joey Votto. His second look against Estrada.
Yeah, that on base percentage gives you an indication as to why maybe he's only got the 16 RBIs. He's walked already 26 times this year. That pitcher is being very careful with Joey Votto. especially in these spots. Men on base, runners in scoring position.
Votto rips that one down the right field line, fair. That's going to get into the corner. And scoring is Stubbs. It's an RBI double for Joey Votto. And now the Reds are getting in their hits against Marco Estrada. It's 2-1 Cincinnati. Votto drives in his 17th run of the year.
And just got us talking about high breaking pitches, high changeups to this lineup, and that's what it was. A changeup. Votto able to stay back just long enough. It was trying to hook foul, but just inside that right field line for an RBI double. Still nobody out.
Three well hit balls in this fourth inning. Votto is the league leader in doubles, adds to it with his 13th. And now it's going to be Brandon Phillips. This is a quick strike offense. Phillips hits it hard. That's a base hit to right. Votto has to hold up. And 4 consecutive hits to start this inning for Cincinnati. First and third with nobody out. And one of the Reds' hottest hitters, Jay Bruce, sitting on a 9-gamer, and he's done big damage during that stretch as well. 5 of his 8 home runs have come during that 9-game hit streak, and half of his RBIs for the season.
And that's what he does. I mean, Jay Bruce is about as streaky a hitter that you're going to find. When he gets hot, you're better off just pitching around him. 32 home runs, 97 RBIs last year for Jay Bruce.
Meeting at the mound, Rick Kranitz with a visit to Marco Estrada. Things can tend to get away from Estrada quickly. He can be as dominant as any Brewer pitcher and then get into a string like this where it seems like he's having a hard time getting anybody out, but then he can get it right back just as fast.
Now, there were some hard hit balls that first time through the batting order, but second time through, they're starting to find holes. We talked about Estrada, hadn't pitched in 9 days, and a lot of times for a control pitcher, you might be throwing strikes, but having a tough time keeping the baseball down. It appears that that's what Marco is fighting right now.
Dangerous spot to be in with a home run hitter at the plate. And Bruce lifts that one deep right center. How far is this going to travel? My goodness. A 3-run home run. And just like that, the Cincinnati Reds have put a 5 spot on the board. Jay Bruce with his 9th home run of the season. And you can almost feel it coming. Five runs are in, 5 straight hits, 2 home runs in the inning. And Bruce, there was no doubt about this one.
Yeah, change up, and as soon as he hit it, it's just a matter of how far it was going to go. Still nobody out. 5 consecutive hits, all extra base hits except for Brandon Phillips' single. A classic left-hander swing, likes the ball down. You can see the path of that bat, a little bit of an uppercut, and that's a typical left-handed power hitter stroke right there.
So Scott rolling bats with the bases empty. 5 runs on 5 straight hits here in the 4th inning. Off the hands, Aoki coming in, and he's got it for out number 1. Well, our AT&T trivia tonight. Which Hall of Fame pitcher holds the major league record for home runs allowed in a season? Figuring we'd see some home run balls tonight.
Bronson Arroyo was close. Maybe that's why he didn't have that extra inning, right? Didn't want to break the record. Just kidding.
Just couldn't quite get through it.
Of course not.
Chris Heisey fouls it back. Ball with a strike. Well, the Brewers know that while Arroyo has been tough on them over the years, they have a quick strike ability against a guy like Bronson Arroyo, and they're going to need it tonight. Heisey pops it up. Ishikawa wants it. And there is out number 2. Hard to figure about Estrada. He has always had this reputation throughout his career. A guy who can dominate a lineup for stretches, but then run into major trouble and not be able to get out of it. And then sometimes he can carry on. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see Estrada go deep into this ball game and have success moving forward.
Well, a lot of the problems that he's had this inning have come on first pitches. You can see it once again. Hannigan going after the first pitch.
Oh, Ricky Weeks cannot make the play. Long way to go. Corey Hart playing very deep in right field, and that's going to fall for a base hit.
That kind of dropped it in no man's land. Surprised that Hannigan's not on second base. Not very good hustle by the Reds catcher. Ricky never got a glove on it. That'll be a single.
That would have been a great catch. Hart was just a couple of steps shy of the warning track, playing deep with 2 away. Well, now Arroyo, who swung at the first pitch his last time up. The 9th batter in the inning. Reds doing all this damage. This is pitch number 20 of the inning. So the quick strike Cincinnati Reds, and as you're saying, the attacking early in counts.
Well, I know 3 of the hits where it came on the first pitch. Maybe 4 of them. Very early in the count, they're attacking Marco in this inning.
Ball and 2 strikes on Bronson Arroyo. And Estrada strikes him out to end the inning, but Cincinnati brings 9 men to the plate. They bat around 6 hits, including 5 hits to start the inning. Cozart, Stubbs, Votto, Phillips, Jay Bruce with a big blow. Braun, he is ready to lead off, and the Brewers hoping to answer the Reds' barrage here in the top of this fourth inning. Got the last two National League MVPs matching up in this series. Always great to see Braun go at it with some of the game's best. And in this particular series, Joey Votto, the 2010 National League Most Valuable Player. Ryan Braun winning the award last season.
And the biggest difference between the two of them, Ryan Braun can steal bases, Joey Votto not so much. Both can hit home runs, both drive in runs, good batting average, but Votto just doesn't have the stolen base speed.
Braun hit a long home run, 430-foot homer in the first inning, accounting for the Brewers' only tally. Got that one in on the hands, but strong enough to muscle it into center field for a base hit. Now let's compare the MVP seasons of Ryan Braun and Joey Votto. What stands out to you here, Rob?
Well, again, as we talked about the stolen bases, everything else pretty similar, right? I mean, 16 bags for Joey Votto in his MVP season, 33 for Ryan. Ryan, a 30-30 performer last year. And both of them not too bad. I'll take them.
Now Braun is aboard, not running as much with that Achilles strain. Although you just never know sometimes with Braun. You know, what he tells the media, what he tells us, might not be exactly what's going on with his game. He certainly doesn't want to give the opponent the idea that he's not running.
I think he's setting everybody up.
Just playing a little possum.
Actually, he did strain the Achilles on a stolen base in San Diego.
What I found interesting during his at-bat, that he squared the bunt just to show that he would bunt. Rolen didn't buy it, though. He never moved an inch from third base.
Well, the thought is, if you want to bunt for a base hit, go ahead. At least we know where you're at. You're at first, as opposed to hitting one out of the ballpark. They'll give Ryan Braun a bunt single any day.
Well, important for the Brewers to cash in here after the Reds score 5. Milwaukee with just 3 hits. Braun has 2 of them. Travis Ishikawa has the other hit. Ramirez, his last time up, bounced out to third base. It's that one hard down the left field line. Heisey cuts it off and bobbles it. Now Braun advances, as does Ramirez. The throw is late. Good base running by Ramirez and Braun. Well, what will be an error on the Reds left fielder turns into a big scoring opportunity here in the fourth.
And eliminates the double play. Ramirez would have stayed at first had Heisey been able to handle that ball in left. I don't think Ryan would have gone to third base either. Kicked it out of the glove. He missed it with a bare hand, and they're both able to advance the base.
Now Braun had basically slowed down to retreat to second base until he saw the bobble. A very sure-handed Reds team defensively, but an error that could cost him. Second and third now with nobody out to start the inning, and now Corey Hart with a chance to do some quick damage of his own. Hart was a strikeout victim in the second inning. Took a called strike 3 on a inside breaking ball that Hart disagreed with Dan Isonia. It's almost like clockwork. You get rung up on a pitch like that, you're almost guaranteed the next time up you're hacking.
Yeah, well, particularly with men in scoring position in second and third.
And Arroyo knows that, certainly. Good take. Corey Hart looks at a breaking ball away.
Yeah, there's that cut fastball. Arroyo dropped down a little bit. We mentioned it. Arroyo not afraid to use different arm angles for every one of his pitches. Very unpredictable out there in the mound. That's what keeps you off balance.
Slow curveball, and Hart way out in front. Still looks like a big piece of chocolate cake.
71 miles an hour. And it was a strike. And Corey way out in front. At bat well through the zone by the time that ball gets there.
Looks so good, but not good for you, Rock.
That's right, chocolate cake. You're right.
And Hart is down on strikes. Got him on that breaking ball again. He backed him up with it. And that is a big strikeout for Bronson Arroyo.
And the first one is strike. That one a little bit harder, more like the slider, but Corey couldn't hold up on it. Very rarely will Arroyo throw the same pitch in the same spot at the same speed. He may do 2 of the 3, but he'll never give you the same pitch.
So here is Jonathan Lucroy. In the absence of Alex Gonzalez, has been elevated in this batting order, and he pops it up. Boy. First pitch swinging in the air to Phillips, and Braun and Ramirez stayed put at second base and third.
Hey fans, Sunday, June 3rd is Time Warner Cable Customer Appreciation Game. Bring last month's Time Warner Cable billing statement to the Miller Park box office for a buy one, get one free terrace ticket offer.
Rock, while you were reading that promotion, Ryan Braun started to take off from third base as Hannigan was walking out to the mound. That created a little panic with the Reds catcher and the pitcher. Thought they had timeout called. Apparently did not. Braun watch Hannigan here, and he's on his way out. He calls time. Not sure if Isonia gave it to him or not.
Yeah, he got it. Isonia said, "Come on, Ryan, relax. You got a bad leg. Just take it easy over there."
But it is symbolic of where the Brewers are offensively right now, trying to score runs however you can. Now 2 outs. 2 on in scoring position for Ishikawa. Ishikawa doubled in the second inning. Sidearm curveball is in there. Interesting that Ishikawa has 7 hits this year. He's 7 for 35 now. 5 of his 7 hits are for extra bases. Has 3 doubles, 2 home runs. Up in a big spot. 5-1 Reds.
He's been much better since he's been able to get some playing time. He started out 0 for 7 off the bench.
Now Milwaukee needs a big hit. You don't want to waste this opportunity to score runs.
Yeah, it looks like the Reds are going to be careful, even with a 4-run lead, trying to get Ishikawa to chase out of the zone. First base open. You got these tourists on deck.
A little flare foul. Roland will watch it into the seats. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Arroyo went back to the breaking ball there.
Got it in on his hand just when Ishikawa was thinking away and trying to lean out of the plate to drive one into left field like he did the first time up. Arroyo busted him in with a cutter. Cutter or slider.
He has plenty to call on. You can almost see the mental Rolodex in Ishikawa's mind.
And it's hard to tell what they are sometimes.
Second and third, 2 outs, and the 2-2 is belted foul. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Ishikawa and the Brewers down to their last strike yesterday in San Francisco, and he doubled into the left center field gap. That scored Corey Hart to tie the game. That game the Brewers would lose in extra innings. But it was a terrific at bat for Ishikawa.
Yeah, he got down in the count very quickly, was able to fight off some tough pitches, worked it to a full count, and I think on about the third 3-2 pitch he was able to drive one into the left center field gap. That was a great at bat for Travis.
Yeah, one of the better at bats of the season. He put it in a capsule. That'll be one that he'll call on when he goes to the video. The count is full. Does Arroyo challenge Ishikawa here with a base open at first? Fastball fouled away. Ishikawa a little bit late on the Arroyo heater. Tim Dillard is getting loose in the bullpen just in case Marco Estrada's spot of the batting order should come up. We'll do it again. Another 3-2. Second and third, and Ishikawa takes ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Well, the at-bat you're talking about, Rock, from Travis Ishikawa yesterday.
Yeah, I tell you, Santiago Casilla was able to throw some pretty good fastballs down in the strike zone, just keeping them off balance. It got to a 2-2 count, and then Ishikawa went to work. It got to 3-2. He kept fouling off pitches, and then finally, on the third 3-2 pitch, he's able to drive one into the gap. Actually, the fourth 3-2 pitch. There it is. It was a breaking pitch, and it fell right out of the reach of Pagan in center, and Corey Hart able to come around to score with 2 outs. That was a great at bat.
And he's put together 2 more today. Has a double and a walk. Now the base is loaded for Cesar Izturis. Braun and Ramirez were aboard with nobody out. Ishikawa with the walk. That is the first walk issued by Bronson Arroyo. Izturis takes a strike. So the 2 guys who are taking over for injured starters right in the middle of it here tonight. Izturis into right, but right at Jay Bruce. The Brewers get nothing in the 4th.
By Burger King as Cincinnati takes a 4-run lead into the top of the 5th inning. Time to check in with the crew in the community. Want to make a change in the community? Reach into your pocket on game day and give your change to the Brewers Community Foundation. Look for change boxes at the concession stands when you're at your next home game. You'll see a player's picture on the outside, and on the inside, your donation is helping thousands of people in the area get a chance to have a better quality of life. Brian?
All right, Telly, thanks. As we head to the 5th inning, 4 in the books here at Miller Park. The Reds have a 5-1 lead. All 5 of those runs coming in the 4th inning before there was an out. So Estrada back to work. Zach Cozart right off the end of the bat. Estrada will take it, and a low throw dug out by Ishikawa. Wow, what a play at first base.
And he's got some nice hands. That was not an easy play by Ishikawa. It didn't look like Marco had a very good grip on that baseball, right on the ends of the fingers, and he spikes it in front of Ishikawa, who picks it, makes it look easy like a hockey goalie. Well done.
That's almost an impossible play for a right-handed throwing first baseman. He'd have to pick that up on his backhand.
Hands are not as soft on the backhand, typically.
Well, saves an error right there, and Ishikawa can do that. So here's Drew Stubbs with one away. Now the Brewers stranding the bases loaded last inning after putting the first two on with nobody out. But the Brewers with 2 hits and a walk against Arroyo. Bronson Arroyo always seems to be walking on the edge.
Men on base, you mean?
He's done that for so long in his career. He's putting together a terrific career as a starting pitcher.
10 full season for Bronson Arroyo. It seems like he's been around a lot longer than that. I think because he's been with the Reds so long, the Brewers seem to see him, 2, 3, 4 times a year. All the pitches he throws and the home runs. I mean, the guy eats up innings. He's able to get through games. Hardly ever on the disabled list. This guy has 34, 35 starts a year.
His Turris got to hurry this throw. Stubbs runs well and is just out. Man, oh man. Stubbs flying down the line. And this Turris just gets him by an eyelash.
Yeah, tonight's time of the game winner. Game Day Sports Bar and Grill in Janesville. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
2 outs, and here is Joey Votto. And a big cut. Checking some of the other scores from the National League tonight. The front-running Cardinals in the division, they are in Arizona tonight. And that game will be underway shortly. Cardinals, Diamondbacks. St. Louis leads the Central, 17 wins, 11 losses. A couple of other West Coast games as well. The Rockies and the Padres, and the Giants at the Dodgers. Some division rivalries there. Miami Marlins are in Houston tonight. They lead 3-0 behind Zambrano, who is pitching like his old self again. He's working on a 2-hit shutout through the first 5 innings. 3-0 Marlins.
And that's that change of scenery effect, I think, for Zambrano. I think that did him a world of good.
Astros are scrapping their way to a spot above the Brewers in the division. Houston is 13-15. There's a strike called on the outside corner, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Estrada. We head to the home 5th. back at Miller Park, Milwaukee. Reds-Brewers, first matchup of the year between division rivals. With Bill Schroeder and Telly Hughes, I'm Brian Anderson, Chris Withers, Kevin Shank. Manning the operation in the truck. And a reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Brewers. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Marco Estrada leads off for Milwaukee. It's 5-1 Reds. A 5-run fourth inning against Estrada. A couple of home runs in that inning. Zach Cozart, his third of the year, and Jay Bruce hit a 3-run shot, his 9th. And that extended Bruce's hitting streak to 10 games. And it has been a heavy 10-game hitting streak. Bronson Arroyo, since he was acquired by the Reds from Boston prior to the 06 season, he leads the National League and ranks among the major league leaders in games started and innings pitched. That's how valuable he has been. He has been a horse.
Yes, he has. He used to throw a little bit harder, but I guess who hasn't, right? I mean, his velocity's up a little bit from last year, but he was in 87, 88 last year. He can touch 90 this year. Mentioned his back issues that he was battling through last year.
He was part of that 04 Boston Red Sox team that finally won a World Series championship. Broke the curse, many would say. The 2-2, and Estrada is down on strikes. Arroyo has 5 strikeouts, and he's doing it from every kind of arm angle imaginable.
Yeah, we talked about it on our Burger King scouting report. The fact that Bronson Arroyo, he'll throw the same pitch at much different arm angles, which makes it a lot more difficult to really zero in on him. Hitters like to go up there and figure on a consistent arm angle. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3 arm angles, and it's probably the same pitch, which really throws off a hitter's mind.
Yeah, very well done, and that gives you an idea of. It's not just that you have those 3 or 4 arm angles, but then you have 3 or 4 pitches from those 3 or 4 arm angles.
And the thing is, he'll throw, it's not the same pitch from the same arm angle. That's easy to pick up. He drops down, he throws a slider. Some guys will do that. But Bronson Arroyo, I mean, he's going to throw the slider from up top, way down below, somewhere in between. It's tough to really pick it up.
Oh, he's a talented musician, has actually been recorded as a singer-songwriter, guitar player, and he kind of pitches that way. He's kind of an ad-lib, free-flow kind of pitcher. He's kind of making it up as he goes. And he strikes out Aoki.
Boy, that's a big zone, I'll tell you. This is about as big a strike zone as we've seen this year. Dan Iasonia not making too many friends amongst the hitters tonight. That's not a strike. Joey Votto got rung up on a pitch off the corner. I guess a little bit too close to take. Now, if you're a hitter in this game, the umpire's not going to change. You got to go up there swinging the bat. Don't allow the umpire to determine the result of your at bat. You got to get up there and swing.
Well, 2 outs on strikeouts and 6 Ks now for Arroyo as he faces Ricky Weeks.
A lot of times we talk about the strike zone being too small. Guys have to throw it right down the middle. Well, not tonight, so I guess we shouldn't complain, right?
And it's quickly 0-2 on Weeks.
Is that a yes or a no?
I agree with you. I'm all about strike calling. But then there's the other side of it. I mean, if there is an umpire made for Bronson Arroyo, it's Dan Iasonia.
Right. And a guy that doesn't throw hard, right? Marco Estrada. But ordinarily in today's game, I mean, there isn't any real, umpire's strike zone. Back, again, I hate to start sentences like this. Back in the old days
when you played.
I mean, every umpire had a certain area where he liked to call the strike. Some in, some away, some up, some down. And the catcher had to understand the umpire who was behind home plate that day and take advantage of that.
There's a swing and a miss, and Arroyo blisters the Brewers in the 5th. 3 up, 3 down, 3 strikeouts. presented by Burger King. Marco Estrada back on the mound. 5-1 Cincinnati as we go to the 6th. Our AT&T trivia. Which Hall of Fame pitcher holds the major league record for home runs allowed in a season? And if you guessed Bert Blyleven, you would be correct.
Yeah, a recent addition to the Hall of Fame last year. I caught Bert in 1989 and 90 with the then California Angels. Talk about a curveball.
Wonder how many of those 50 home runs were solo homers.
A lot of them. He didn't walk anybody.
That's how he pitched around all those home runs as Brandon Phillips leads off for Cincinnati. Just in case you're wondering, as far as seasons go, Bert Blyleven's on there twice. Arroyo's on the list. And we're not talking about a Hall of Famer in Arroyo, but home runs allowed in a single season all time. Last year, Arroyo giving up 46. Phillips drives one to left. That's down. It's going to go to the wall. And it's a leadoff double for Brandon Phillips. And now Estrada is going to have to plow his way through the tough part of this order. Jay Bruce, a big hit back in the 4th inning. Watch how far this one went. Went over the Toyota territory. And that was the 5th hit in a row for the Reds. And it was a 3-run homer to make it 5-1. You know, in that inning, Estrada was having a tough time throwing his breaking ball for a strike. He had missed on the first offering to Bruce with a breaking ball, and Jay Bruce was sitting on the heat, and he did not miss it.
Yeah, when Marco gets behind the count, he throws a changeup. He can't get it down the middle.
Got the shift on defensively against Bruce. Common defensive alignment for this hitter. And he smokes one to left. Braun makes the catch. Oh, what a play. Ryan Braun pulls it down.
Well, that's just instinct for Ryan Braun. I mean, boy, has he improved out there in left field. I mean, he goes down that line extremely well. Able to angle back and grab it. You can tell it was very difficult for him to slow down. It took him a while to slow down and get that throw into the infield, but look at this play. Our Pizza Hut delivery of the game, fully stretched out. Look at the angle he's going back at. Able to get it into webbing and able to hold Brandon Phillips to second base. That's a heck of a play. Bad Achilles and all.
Yeah, Braun limping a little bit in the outfield, and Brandon Phillips went back to tag. Saw that motion. Braun said, "I'm watching you." So Phillips still at second, and Roland chases a breaking ball. Yeah, Braun he's fighting this injury. He knows the Brewers need him right now. It's that right Achilles. And it wouldn't surprise me if he had to come out of this ball game. Pickoff play. Ricky Weeks makes a great pickup. That ball was headed for center field. A low throw from Estrada. Scott Rowland 0 for 2 in the game against Estrada. Speaking of great careers, boy, this guy.
Yeah.
Started his career with the Phillies, had some terrific years with St. Louis, part of that World Series championship team for the Cardinals. Then he was traded to Toronto, and in a sneaky trade in 2009, Blue Jays traded him to the Cincinnati Reds. Nobody really thought much of it, thinking that Roland's career maybe on the backside coming to an end. But he was a big part of their division title 2 years ago as he flies out for the second out of the inning. Well, now that the dust is settled from the draft, Paul Imig looks at the 5 biggest roster holes the Packers have to fill at FoxSportsWisconsin.com. Quarterbacks covered, huh?
For a while, I would think.
Backup quarterback.
That's a tough job.
That is a tough job. So you can check out Paul's notes at foxsportswisconsin.com.
Yeah, Packers really focusing on the defense this year's draft.
Excellent draft analysis, partner.
That's about as deep as I can go, though.
There's a liner foul in the seats. And Heisey is behind. Well, you just like to advance it next level. You're a next level analyst.
That's right. Most nights.
I'm glad you let me back in the booth with you. You've kind of had a merry-go-round of double play combinations this last week.
Yep. 3 different ones in that Giants series, including yourself.
3 different win bags in 3 different days. Oh, that caught a piece of Isonia. Stays on his feet, though.
That staggered him, but he didn't go down. Yep. Got the umpire right over the head of Lucroy and got Iasonia right on the forehead. Those feel good. 10-year Major League umpire Dan Iasonia.
I remember Dan Isonia in the Texas League when I was calling games in the minor leagues. He was making his trek through the minor leagues. That's a long road for an umpire to make it to the big leagues. And if I recall, at that time, because of budget cutbacks, they were working 2-man crews in the Texas League. Think about that in the heat of Texas. Just every other day you had the plate.
Yeah. 96 and 97 in the Texas League for Iasonia. Got to make use of my umpire's media guide
Again,
from time to time.
Next level analysis right there. Did not expect the years in the Texas League for the home plate umpire. I don't even remember, and I was with him.
The Brewers media relations department, I ask for these every year. We get them.
Yep.
You got to use them.
Sure.
They're going to stop giving them to you if you don't say something about them.
You know you've made it when you're in the umpire media guide. There's a swing and a miss. Estrada strikes out Chris Heisey. So the Reds are done in the 6th. Ryan Braun, he'll hit when we come back. He'll lead off. Brewers are down 5-1. Presented by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by the new Miller Lite Punch Top Can. It's Miller time. And time now for our AT&T U-verse reverse replay. We take you back. Ryan Braun, first inning. Unloading on Bronson Arroyo and his 9th home run of the year. That gave the Brewers a quick start tonight. It was 1-0 until Cincinnati scored 5 runs in the 4th inning. Braun keeps climbing the list. 170 home runs. And you figure if he stays healthy, he'll be able to catch Prince Fielder, move himself onto this list, which is an impressive list of Hall of Famers, current Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers. Bottom line, you look at a graphic like that and you just say, been very few in the game that have had the kind of starts to a career that Ryan Braun has had now in his 6th year in the major leagues.
Yeah, since 07, there haven't been anybody better. There have been guys that have had some comparable numbers, but Ryan Braun is certainly amongst the league's elite. I mean, of all time, as far as a start to a career.
Arroyo's got him down 0-2. Braun batting for the 3rd time in this game, and all 3 occasions with nobody on as he serves one into right. Jay Bruce is there for out number 1.
Hey, Brewer fans, this season is your opportunity to get involved in our broadcast over the wide range of social media options. You can tweet your comments and questions to our Twitter handle at FS Wisconsin. We'll choose some of them, some of the best each night, and put them on the air. You can also follow along with the pulse of social media on our Game Connect page over at foxsportswisconsin.com.
Here's Aramis Ramirez with one away. Quickly behind in the count. Anything on the social media you're following tonight, Rock? Anything you'd like to pass along?
No, I'm good.
They're tracking us right now. There's a drive into right. That ball is well hit. Back is Bruce, and he's there. He makes the catch, crashing up against the wall just at the last moment. Jay Bruce for out number 2.
Yeah, Ramirez and Bronson Arroyo having a bit of a chuckle over that one. Ram is saying, I got you pretty good, but look at that catch by Jay Bruce. Not just a hitter, is he? Pretty good defensively, and not too many have a better arm out in right field.
Bruce has been very active defensively tonight. Corey Hart with 2 away. Steady diet of slow curveballs against Corey Hart. That was the key at bat in the 4th inning. Arroyo struck out hard with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. And he's just feeding him breaking balls here. Now it's 0-2. Does he dare throw anything but a curveball? That's pretty much all that Hart has seen.
Unless it's a high fastball.
Bronson Arroyo, the thinking man's pitcher. Tried to spot the fastball, almost snuck it by him. It was inside.
Yeah, completely fooling Corey Hart. You know, looking away right now. You got to figure with all the breaking pitches, and Arroyo missed the inside corner. He'll probably go back away again.
That's 2-2. And the wheels are turning for Arroyo. 2 breaking balls followed by 2 fastballs. Full count to Corey Hart. What does he get? Bounces one over to 3rd base. And Hart is retired. Fastball that ends the inning. 1-2-3 for Arroyo.
nice long homestand for Milwaukee, and tickets are extremely limited for this weekend series against the Cubs, but some good seats still remain for this Friday night's game against the dreaded Chicago Cubs at 7:10 p.m. You'll have to act fast. Call 414-902-4000 or visit Brewers.com today.
You find that Brewers fans, as you go around town, as you go around the man of the people, you find that Brewers fans are having a harder time disliking the Cubs as much with Dale Swaim as the manager?
I know I am.
I mean, no La Russa in St. Louis, former Brewer Mike Matheny running that club, Dale Swaim running the Cubs.
Let's put it this way. When the Cubs are at Miller Park, you want to beat them just as bad as you always have. But, when they're not playing the Brew Crew, it becomes a little bit more difficult.
I hear you. I see where you're coming from. Well, I know Dale Swaim is looking forward to his return to Miller Park as a Cubs manager. Marco Estrada against Ryan Hanigan to start this 7th inning. By the way, the pitching matchup the rest of this series, it's Gallardo against Homer Bailey tomorrow, and then Greinke on the mound Wednesday against Johnny Cueto. That's good. Going to be a great matchup. Greinke and Cueto on Wednesday afternoon. And then when the Cubs get here, Randy Wolf and Sean Markham will have the first 2 games of that series. And most likely Marco Estrada will pitch the finale. But the Brewers do have another off day this week on Thursday, and Renicky wanted to reserve the right to make a change and maybe bump everybody up, keep them on the regular rest. This has been a hard start for Renicky and Rick Kranitz to get their arms around with Marco Estrada. He's pitching well, but it disappeared on him in the 4th inning, and the Reds took advantage quickly, scoring 5 runs on 5 straight hits.
Yeah, he has thrown 5 very good innings, but the one inning really was not a good one.
And we're talking about maybe, what, a 10 or 12 pitch span?
Right. A lot of first pitch swings. He's been able to locate his fastball and his breaking pitch much better since that 4th inning. He's locating it pretty well in the first 3 innings as well.
Full count. Hanigan hanging tough. Now the good news for Estrada, his pitch count is into the 90s now. The Brewers looking forward to trying to push him a little bit. 78 pitches in his 2 starts this year. He was preparing to be a starting pitcher most of the spring until the last week, when Sean Markham looked like he was going to be able to answer the bell. There's a base hit back up the middle, a hard-earned single by Reds catcher Ryan Hanigan, his 2nd hit of the night against Estrada. Toyota game summary. 5-1 Cincinnati. Braun got it started for the Brewers with a home run in the 1st inning. But then the quick strike Reds. 5 straight hits. Cozarts, Stubbs, Votto, Phillips, and it was capped off by a Jay Bruce 3-run homer. Brewers had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 4th inning. Could not score. As Arroyo gets a bunt down, a good one. Lucroy's only play is first, and a sacrifice bunt for Bronson Arroyo. Hanigan advances. Now, speaking of injuries, the Washington Nationals getting news that Jason Worth out with a fractured wrist, going to have wrist surgery. Actually had wrist surgery today. Expected to miss 3 months. So they're without Michael Morse, great talent in left field, and now Jason Worth. 2/3 of their outfield is gone.
And the list grows for injuries in the major leagues. It's amazing. It really is. Well, Washington near the bottom of the National League in offense, but right at the top in pitching. Washington Nationals have a team earned run average at 2.59 coming into play tonight.
It's unbelievable. Great starting rotation. They've been in the news a great deal with Steven Strasburg fronting that rotation. Of course, Bryce Harper has come on and really swung the bat well. Harper was in the news yesterday. He and Cole Hamels. Hamels drilled him, and the game ended. And you think, well, it's just another game, and a guy gets hit. And then Cole Hamels said, "Yeah, I hit him on purpose."
Can't say that.
And Hamels suspended 5 games by Major League Baseball.
And well, he should be. That's a no-no.
5 games and an undisclosed fine. Cole Hamels.
Why do you say that? No idea.
Bryce Harper has burst onto the scene at 19 years of age.
Got a great eye at the plate. You know, for a guy that young,
Yeah.
I mean, he is very disciplined.
A ball and 2 strikes. Zach Kozar. The injury bug bit Kozar last year. Reds had brought him up. They were ready to commit to the young shortstop, and he had an injury while playing in the field, and it required surgery, an elbow injury to his non-throwing arm. You see, he still wears the brace on his left arm. He had to have Tommy John ligament replacement surgery. Hyperextended that elbow. So this is officially his rookie season now, Zach Kozart. Reds were trying to piece it together with Paul Janisch, among others, at the shortstop position. But Kozart, they feel like, is a cornerstone at the position for many years to come.
And more of a contact hitter than Drew Stubbs, which is what you want out of your leadoff guy. Got a .340 on base percentage. That should go up as he settles in.
Kozart, in just 11 games with the Reds last year in the big leagues before he was injured, hit .324. And in AAA before his promotion, he hit .310. So he's proven he can hit at a high level. It was a year in AAA 2 seasons ago when he had 17 home runs. He had a home run in the 4th inning to start that 5-run rally for Cincinnati. Another long at bat. Pitch count rising for Marco Estrada, who is nearing the end.
But Manny Parra getting loose down in that Brewers bullpen.
Two and 2 on Kozart. Good take. 3-2 the count. There's Manny Parra. You figure this will be Estrada's last hitter. Runner at second with 1 out. 5-1 Reds. And Kozart gets jammed. Pop-up foul territory. Ramirez makes the catch. And there is out number 2. Well, if you didn't see it last night, Bryce Harper at the plate. Cole Hamels sticks one right in his back. And then he stole home.
Yeah, take that, right?
To give it back to him. Well, Cole Hamels took one off the shin by Wisconsin native Jordan Zimmerman in a little retaliation. Zimmerman said after the game that that pitch got away from him.
And that's what you should say, right? But the one thing about those, 2 hit batters, they were down, hip and down around the knees, and you don't want to start throwing at guys' heads, even when you admit that you're trying to hit somebody. That is not good. You don't want to mess with a guy's career.
Drew Stubbs with 2 away. Estrada going to stay here and try to get through this inning.
Yeah, the last pitch to Cozart was a dandy by Estrada. Tied him up inside. Good pitch. And because of that, Ron Renneke is going to allow him to try to get out of this inning.
Drifting into uncharted territory with a pitch count. This is number 108 coming. 0-2 to Drew Stubbs.
Still throwing at 91 with a fastball. His velocity is still the same, and it's always a telltale sign if a guy's getting a little bit tired. Velocity goes down, location suffers, but that really doesn't seem to be the case at this point.
Joey Votto is on deck. Hannigan still at second base, and Estrada backs him out of there. Pitch with a little purpose. Stubbs continues to work on his strikeouts. It's one of the reasons why Dusty Baker had to take him out of the leadoff spot. Just too many punch outs.
Yeah, 29 so far this year.
Add 1 to it. 30. Stubbs is gone, and Estrada is through 7. One lapse in the fourth. Our Jimmy John's high-speed delivery. Bronson Arroyo topping out at 89 miles an hour. Estrada got his fastball up to 93. And just a tough one to get your arms around. You see Estrada with Rick Kranitz shaking his head, knowing that things could have been very different in this game, but he leaves trailing. Ho-Chunk Gaming text question is from Jay. He wants to know, do players have scouting reports on different umpires?
And not so much, you know, their balls and strikes, because they're supposed to be the same. But I know the Brewers are unique, you know, to a lot of the other teams, where they give some personal information about the umpires. You know, during a beginning of a series, they tape it up in the training room, and maybe right on second base, maybe strike up a conversation. It might pay dividends later on in the game.
Yeah.
Get to know your umpire a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, the fish are biting out at Blake Merced, huh? You had a good year.
They're human too.
Soften them up.
That's the whole idea behind the umpire's media guide.
Yes.
To try and bring some human element to the umpires.
No, we got a lot of respect for the umpires. They do their job very well. The best of the professional officiating crews, I think, of all the sports.
They have to make a call on every play, unlike any of the other sports.
Saw Bruce Fremming earlier today. He usually pops in the booth about 30 seconds before we go on the air. Sometimes in the more like 15 seconds.
Bruce thinks when the lights are on and we're standing up for our open, that means come on in.
That's known, that red on-air light that's on. Come on in.
Disregard that.
Just come on in. Good time to chat. Tell us about your favorite restaurants.
Good old Bruce.
Yeah, he's great. We had him on for an umpire instructional.
Yeah.
How many umpires take a bad rap, with blown calls, and it happens. But
right.
Think about all the calls that are made every night in the big leagues.
Yeah, they're good. They make mistakes, like we all do.
Well, Bronson Arroyo still at it here in the 7th inning. Brewers got a home run from Braun in the first. That's the lone run so far. Only 4 hits allowed. Braun has 2 of them. Ramos Ramirez and Travis Ishikawa with the other 2. The big inning for Arroyo was the 4th. Braun and Ramirez started the inning with back-to-back hits. It was 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. And the Brewers were unable to score. Stranding the bases loaded, as a matter of fact. Nothing really clicking right now for Milwaukee. They're just trying to find it.
Yeah.
Working hard to score runs.
Up and down that batting order, you get guys, maybe 1 or 2 swinging the bat. I remember last year with Milwaukee, after the All-Star break, everybody got hot. They're still waiting for that.
As Lucroy chases one, he is down on strikes.
Hey, Spring Madness coming up May 21st to the 23rd, and tickets are half price. Plus small Pepsi products and Clemens hot dogs are $1 each. Some restrictions apply. Visit brewers.com/madness.
In the home stretch now, Rock, got about a month left of school. Kids are getting antsy, getting ready to dial it up. Some summer fun in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Big day in your house?
Big day. Summer fun. Tough schedule right now. Traveling, doing night games. Kids are up early.
That doesn't mean you're up early, does it?
Not necessarily.
Hey, I work nights.
I feel bad for them.
And players too. I mean, don't get to see the kids, some of the older guys, and that's just part of it.
Well, we're looking forward to a great summer here in Wisconsin. Hope you'll come see us at the ballpark. Such a fun experience here. So much to do, not just what's happening on the field, but done a great job with this facility and making memories. 2-2. Ishikawa rips one to right, a base hit. Ishikawa has been on base all 3 times tonight. 2 hits and a walk.
Yeah, staking his claim to that first base job. Well, you know how good he is defensively. Nice soft hands. The best of any of the guys that play first base for Milwaukee as far as defense goes. A nice short stroke on a curve ball away from him. Maybe to wait back and line it into right. Ishikawa has been hot lately. He's 3 for his last 3, including that walk.
It'll be his Turris now with 1 away. Little tapper up along first, and it rolls foul.
Not sure what Joey Votto was thinking. I thought he was going to take out these Turris there. I mean, he came hard. He forgot about the baseball and was looking right at Cesar's Turris. Thought there might have been a collision coming. Coming in to break up the wedge. Look out.
Who will flinch first? It's a big man. 0-1 pitch. He's Turris takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Cesar lined out in the 4th inning with the bases loaded. He hit it hard, but hit it right at Jay Bruce, who was playing shallow to start. And that ended the threat. We mentioned his Turris. He suffered a season-ending injury last year as well. He played in just 18 games for the Orioles last year. had that nerve surgery in his elbow, the nerve placement. Had the Tommy John surgery earlier in his career, the ligament replacement, and then sometimes you have to go back in there a few years later and fix the nerves. So that knocked him out. He hasn't seen a lot of live pitching, which is why Renicky wanted to get him as much activity in spring training, as many at bats as possible.
Yeah, he played just about every day. He didn't start every day, but he played all over the infield, but predominantly short.
No balls, 2 strikes, and it goes to 1-2. And Arroyo strikes him out. Backdoor breaking ball. His Torres is rung up again.
Yeah, 9 strikeouts now for Arroyo. Wow. Every Friday, high school and college students can purchase select tickets for half price, courtesy of Time Warner Cable. Visit Brewers.com/students.
Well, a season high for strikeouts for Bronson Arroyo at 9. George Kataris announced as the pinch hitter. So that officially closes the book on Marco Estrada with 7 innings. And Kataris on the first pitch. A base hit, single. And now the Brewers with 2 on and 2 out. George continues to impress off the bench.
That first pitch fastball going away from George. He waits back and shoots it right back through the middle. And that first pitch is the one that pinch hitters hope is a hittable one. They like to attack early. A couple of Canadians having a chat.
Yeah. Now they're both from the same area, actually, in the Toronto area.
Maybe talking hockey. What do you think?
It's possible. Definitely not talking baseball. It's always amazing how big Joey Votto is. You see him standing up next to a guy like George Kataris. So Arroyo is done, and the Reds will count on their very reliable bullpen the rest of the way. We'll take a break. Fashion. That man's going to get his birthday wish. Hope that's the case. Miller Park, Milwaukee, first game of this 3-game series against Cincinnati. 2 on for the Brew Crew with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning, and it's Logan Ondrusek who is first out of the pen for Dusty Baker.
Yeah, one of the bright surprises so far for the Reds has been their bullpen, the best bullpen ERA in all of the National League. And Logan Andrusek, first out of the chute, has not allowed a run in 12 innings so far this year. You can see the strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, 5 walks. He's a hard thrower.
Here is Nori Aoki now. Well, the Brewers would love to get to Ryan Braun's spot in the batting order, which is still third in this inning. Aoki and Weeks have to reach. Try to turn this one around. Down 5-1, 2 on. Kataris with a pinch hit single. Chased Arroyo. And Aoki is clipped. Oh, missed him. Somehow. Skipped rope on that Andrusek offering.
That 93 right at the knees. Look out. Able to get out of the way.
I think Aoki was waiting for the pain. Not sure how it missed him. Aoki is 0 for 3. And he pops it up shallow right. Phillips and Bruce, and it's Bruce to make the catch, and the inning is over. Brewers strand 2. They've left 6 on tonight.
As we are still going to be taking on the Reds. Even a shower possible here at Miller Park. Our first pitch temperature at 60 degrees with the winds out of the west between 8 to 16 miles per hour.
Thank you, Adrian. Looks like the roof will be closed tomorrow. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Second game of the series against Cincinnati tomorrow. Airtime is 6:30 for Brewers Live, Fox Sports Wisconsin. Wednesday, no TV. Thursday is an off day, and then we're back on Friday against the Chicago Cubs. Game reset if you're just picking this up. It was a good start for the Brewers. Ryan Braun homered in the first inning. Number 9 of the year. Solo home run for Braun. But the Reds put together a very fast rally in the fourth, capped off by a 3-run homer from Jay Bruce. Bronson Arroyo goes 6 2/3, allows just 1 earning. 9 strikeouts, a season high for Arroyo. So here we go to the 8th. Marco Estrada started and is out. He's on the hook for the loss. Gives way to Manny Parra.
Yeah, Manny Parra has been very good. His last 5 appearances has not allowed a run. And throughout that stretch, you know, batters are 1 for 14 against Manny. He's getting ahead in the count, and the split-fingered fastball has been his out pitch.
Parra facing Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, and Jay Bruce. A determined look on the face of Joey Votto. He's an interesting study, Votto. He does a lot of visualization. You see him a lot. We saw him before the game, actually, before his first at bat. Just had his eyes closed, thinking about different pitches.
Such a good hitter. Yeah, this is a guy that I mean, very rarely, if ever, swings at a pitch out of the strike zone. Even with 2 strikes. There's going to be times when he does, but he's about as disciplined a hitter as you'll see in baseball. And that takes a lot of concentration.
28 years of age now, Joey Votto. The 2-2 is in the air to left. Playable for Braun. And Parra has his first out in the 8th inning.
And Manny appeared in yesterday's ball game, retired the only batter that he faced. He pitched an inning on Saturday against the Giants. A 3-up, 3-down inning, and only used 4 pitches to do it. So Manny's been good lately.
Just trying to work himself back into form. He's another guy that missed the entire season last season. And because he is out of options, meaning if the Brewers send him back to the minor leagues, every team can have a chance to pick him up. So he has to stay on a major league roster. I think ideally the Brewers would have liked to have start Manny Parra in the minor leagues, let him get a feel for it again, get a feel for pitching. He did have the entire spring training. He's starting to get stronger and stronger, and if he continues to pitch well, he's another guy that you could possibly use in the starting rotation.
Well, if the Brewers sent him down, they would lose him in a second. A guy with an arm like that. A lot of teams are looking for a guy that, with the stuff of a Manny Parra. And Manny's starting to come around this year. He's got off to a rough start, but lately he's been pretty good.
2-0 to Brandon Phillips. 3 balls, no strikes. It's always about command with Manny Parra. And he can lose it quickly, can get it back quickly.
When he puts himself in a fastball count, when he gets behind, that's when he gives up runs and he gives up hits, like most pitchers. What separates him from most is that when he gets ahead, he's got the changeup, he's got the splitter, and he's got that good breaking pitch. He can really put hitters away, but he's got to get ahead in the count.
See what he does in a hitter's count against Brandon Phillips, who has 2 hits tonight. 2 for 3 with a run scored. Heart deep and makes a catch. Or out number 2. So 2 up and 2 down for Manny Parra. Checking the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. St. Louis is off to a quick start. They lead 5-0. Lance Lynn is on the mound for St. Louis tonight. That game's in the bottom of the 3rd inning in Phoenix. Matt Holliday and Carlos Beltran. Rafael Furcal, they've all homered. Now the Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves, the 2 top hitting teams in the National League. Atlanta has mustered up just 1 run against the Cubs tonight. Cubs lead 3-1 over the Braves in the 8th inning at Wrigley. Jason Hayward is at his 4th. Cubs have home runs from LaHare and Stewart.
How about LaHare, how hot he's been? That left-handed hitter, he's a pretty good one.
Home run number 8 today for LaHare. Finally getting his chance.
Yeah, he's been hot lately.
LaHare has one of the best minor league prospects right behind him, Anthony Rizzo. So he's hitting for his big league life every day, it feels like, I'm sure. There's a swing and a miss. Bruce out in front. 2-2. Padres and Rockies are underway, just underway. San Diego leads at 1-0. A few finals in as well. And a swing and a miss. Bruce down on strikes. Manny Parra. A 3-up, 3-down inning. The Brewers are running out of outs, but the muscle is coming up.
8th inning, and Marco Estrada, Davey, very strong outing, even though he gave up those 5 runs all in that 4th inning. He goes 7 strong innings, no walks, and 5 strikeouts stat. What do you think outside of that inning?
Well, I just thought that they were swinging at pitches like they knew what was coming. It was sitting on his breaking ball and changeups, but, you know, he threw some very good fastballs, didn't make some adjustments. Like, boy, he was just painting with his fastball. Every time he threw a breaking ball, they hit it. But he made some adjustments and then came on strong because he either changed something because his breaking balls start working again.
All right, let's see what the Brewers can do now. A couple of chances left here in the 8th and 9th. We're getting ready for Brewers Live postgame coming up after the ball game. Full reaction from the clubhouse. Brian?
All right, Craig and Davey, thank you. 6 outs to work with for Milwaukee and down 4. Ricky Weeks leads off. He'll be followed by Braun. Logan Ondrusek back on the mound. Weeks back up the middle. Kozar scoops and throws him out. Weeks is retired. We're at the top of the order tonight. 0 for 8 combined. Ryan Braun has batted 3 times with nobody on base. That's been the problem. He does have 2 hits tonight. Marshfield Clinic's shining moment was the 1st inning. First and only run for Milwaukee was a Braun homer. His 9th home run of the season. RBI number 19. Also flashed some leather. Making a terrific catch against Jay Bruce in the 6th inning.
Yeah, that saved the run. Brandon Phillips was on second base at the time. This guy's got a big fastball, 95, right on the corner.
Logan Ondrusek.
And when you look at this bullpen for Cincinnati, it's a bunch of guys that aren't household names doing a pretty good job. You know, 3 pitchers in the bullpen were put on the disabled list before the season even started. Closer Ryan Madsen, Nick Massett, another big arm out of the bullpen, Jordan Smith.
Ryan Braun at the plate, presented by Wendy's.
And recently Bill Bray on the disabled list, a left-hander.
And Ondrusek blows away Braun. Big fastball there, 96 miles an hour. 2 outs in the inning. Francisco Cordero is gone. They had signed Ryan Madsen to close games.
Not often Ryan Braun's going to miss a fastball right down the middle. 96, here it is, and Ryan comes up empty.
Here's Aramis Ramirez now.
And probably the hardest thrower out in that bullpen is the lefty, Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, you wonder what they're going to do with Aroldis Chapman. They've toyed with the notion that he'd be a starting pitcher. He's had a little bit of success in the bullpen. Has the stuff to be a closer. Good problem for the Reds to have.
Yeah. Well, there's talk that the Reds may even consider, starting him this year yet. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, he had a 6-year deal in his pocket before he played a day in the big leagues. One ball, 2 strikes on Aramis Ramirez, 2 away in the 8th. And there's a pop-up. Should end the inning. Votto is coming in. Foul territory. And the side is retired. The Brewers Red Series on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Burger King. Miller Park, Milwaukee on a cool night, cool and cloudy. And it's going to be Vinny Chalk.
His Brewers debut came against the Padres, gave up a couple of runs in an inning of work. The contract was purchased from AAA Nashville. He had 7 games under his belt for AAA. Had a .318 earned run average.
9th inning, 5-1 Cincinnati. All 5 runs coming in the 4th. There were 5 straight hits in that inning. Home run by Cozart and a 3-run homer by Jay Bruce. Scott Rowland leads off. He's 0 for 3. Chalk deals a strike. Chalk was up yesterday as Tim Dillard was on the mound. The bases were loaded. A lot of decision there on who you'd go to. They decided to stick with Dillard, and Dillard gave up the hit. The Giants ended up winning the game in extra innings.
Chalk has always been a guy that you can rely on to throw strikes, and Ron Renicky, thinking perhaps to go to Chalk, it did not, and then Hector Sanchez able to hit that double to end the game, or single to end the game in San Francisco in extra innings.
Now the Brewers just trying to weather the storm here. It's early, but you certainly don't want to get yourself too buried too early. Chalk against Rowland with a 1-2 count, and it evens at 2-2 now.
Well, the job is much more difficult for Ron Renicky now. Before, it was just a matter of getting your starters hot. You knew who they were going to be. You're just waiting for him to start swinging the bats. Now Ron Renicky has to figure out what his everyday lineup's going to be, and that's going to be dependent on who gets hot. So it's going to be working in reverse, making it much difficult on the Brewers skipper.
Rowland able to check his swing. It goes to 3-2.
It looked like
Renicky barking at the home plate umpire. A frustrated manager. Rowland skies it to right. Corey Hart will settle under it, and there is out number 1. Vinny Chalk with 1 away, facing Chris Heisey now. A couple of finals into the National League. Carlos Zambrano is back. He threw a shutout tonight, a complete game 3-hitter against Houston. 4-0 Miami. They got home runs from Stanton and Buck. Hanley Ramirez homered. Zambrano's ERA goes under 2 now with his victory. His first win of the season. The 1.98 earned run average. The surprising Mets defeated the Phillies 5-2. Mets scored 3 runs in the 9th, beating Papelbon. See, managers bring their closers in a tie game when they're at home, which is what Charlie Manuel did, and Papelbon proceeded to give it up quickly. A 5-2 Mets win. The Mets are now 3 games over 500. Heisey into shallow right center. That'll fall for a base hit. A little flare that falls, and a hit for the Reds. First hit since the 7th.
It might be the year of the pitcher again, but not the year of the closer, is it?
Not at all.
A lot of them having tough time. A lot of them hurt. Heath Bell taken out of the closer's role. Carlos Marmol.
Heath Bell, that's the big surprise.
Yeah.
Big free agent signing by the Marlins, feeling like they had secured their 9th inning, and he's out of the closer's role a month into the season.
He's got an 11 earned run average.
The Brewers have a closer. They just love to put the ball in his hands with some save opportunities. They have been few and far between as John Axford patiently waits. Albert Pujols has a couple of more RBIs tonight. Hit his first homer of the season yesterday. Angels lead the Twins 5-2. That game's in the bottom of the 8th inning. Shocking story. Albert Pujols. I mean, it just
1 home run, 10 RBIs.
hard to believe. With the 2 tonight, 10. You're right.
Yeah.
Never thought you'd see Pujols go through a stretch like that. Question is, do you think he'll hit 30 this year? He seems to always find a way, right?
I wouldn't put it past him. You remember last year when he started to get hot against Milwaukee?
Carried the Cardinals. Cardinals caught fire at just the right time. They were 10.5 games back with a little over a month to play, and they made it by the skin of their teeth into the postseason and took that momentum all the way to the World Series title. You just never know in this game. 0-2 pitch. Outside, ball 1. I think everybody thought the Detroit Tigers were going to run away with the American League Central. That hasn't been the case. The Indians are the leaders in the Central. Indians won earlier today. They're playing a doubleheader against the White Sox. Second game is tied in the 8th. How about Cleveland 16-11?
Yeah,
huh?
well, and they're 6-8 at home. 6-8 at home, 9-3 on the road before play today.
We want to get in a fun conversation about the Indians. Just spend a little time with Davey Nelson.
Yeah.
You know, he was a coach when the Indians were rolling in the 90s and selling out that ballpark every day.
You know, has the most wins on the road in all of baseball this year? Baltimore.
Baltimore. Good one. Well, the runner took off with a pitch, and Heisey's going to steal second base.
Yeah, the Orioles 19-9, and they've won 5 in a row.
Orioles are getting roughed up tonight against the Rangers. Rangers have a 14-3. Actually, that's final now. 14-3 the final. Texas, for good measure, scored 7 runs in the 9th inning. 14 runs on 19 hits. Bouncing ball. Izturis makes the play to first base, and there is out number 2. That American League East is just strange to look at. Inverted. You got the Red Sox and the Yankees at the bottom, and the Orioles and the Rays at the top. Tampa Bay, you knew they were going to be good.
Yeah.
Here's Miguel Cairo pinch hitting, just off a hamstring injury, activated before the ball game. Runner at third with 2 away in a 5-1 Cincinnati lead, 9th inning. Looking ahead to the Brewers' 9th, it'll be Corey Hart, Lucroy, and then Ishikawa. We'll see who Dusty Baker calls on to pitch that 9th inning. Good block by Lucroy. Saves a run.
He's been outstanding so far this year and blocking pitches in the dirt. Saving a run right there, squaring up nicely.
Deep into right center. Aoki can't get there as it bounces up and out for a ground rule double. It'll be an RBI for Cairo, and the Reds add to their lead 6-1. Well, he was hitless in his minor league rehab stint. 0 for 10, Miguel Cairo.
Well, he got a pitch out over the plate, and he just drove it to the opposite field. And well, he had him played straight away, and Aoki just couldn't get there. Well, one hopping into the Reds bullpen. A little bit of insurance for the Cincinnati.
Still 2 outs. Here's Zach Cozart. 1 for 4 tonight with a home run. A 5-run 4th inning. Cozart had the first of 5 consecutive hits in the 4th. 1 out in the 1st inning. No balls and 2 strikes on Cozart. 26 years of age. Played his college ball at Ole Miss. And they think he's a can't miss at the shortstop position. Just hanging around. Potential rally. Liner to short is Torres. Goes up the ladder to make the catch. Side retired, but the Reds add to their lead. Getting a run off Vinny Chalk on a couple of hits. 6-1 Reds. Last call for the Brew Crew. Brewers Live postgame show. Rock will be breaking down the techniques, he and Davey. Techniques and strategies of the game. Tonight's postgame instructional we look at.
And playing a ball, a foul ball, and you know how properly to go after a pop-up against the wall. The grandstands, the infield, the outfield. And ideally, you'd like to have enough time to be able to make the proper approach. Matt Gamble did not have that opportunity in San Diego. Corey Hart played it beautifully.
I'm always amazed at how close she came to knocking Davey Nelson's teeth out in that little promo. That was touchy, you know. I don't think Davey realized how close he was to a trip to the dentist.
I missed it. I'm sorry. I was looking at something else.
Well, it's a little added element for a post-game instructional as Sean Marshall takes over.
If I did, I really didn't mean it.
I'm just saying the back control is not quite what it used to be.
Actually, it is.
It's exactly the way it used to be.
That's why I'm up here.
Marshall, the Reds closer now, coming over from the Cubs a year ago.
Well, you wonder why the closer's in with a 5-run lead. He hasn't pitched since May 3rd against the Cubs. It's been a while for Marshall. You know, your closer's sitting on that bullpen too long without throwing in a game.
Sometimes these are the kind of games you can do a little damage in a non-safe situation. And Marshall, he has great stuff. Big fastball, big curveball.
And it throws a lot of strikes. That's the key to just about everybody's success.
Marshall has all 5 of the Cincinnati saves.
And 1 walk in his last 5 appearances for Sean Marshall.
Two and 2 to Corey Hart. Hanging in there. Count stays at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brewers and Reds are back at it tomorrow. Giovanni Gallardo and Homer Bailey will match up. Gallardo looking for his 2nd win. Bailey's off to a pretty good start. He's 1 and 2, but his ERA is at 3.77. Ryan Madson was hired to be the Reds closer this year. Signed a free agent deal, just a 1-year deal. There was not much of a market for the closers after Heath Bell and Jonathan Papelbon signed their deals. Madson signed a 1-year deal and blew out his elbow.
And will never pitch for the Cincinnati Reds.
So Marshall, who was acquired to be a setup man, jumps into that closer spot, and he's done a nice job. 2 and 2. Down goes Hart. A strikeout for Sean Marshall. Look here, Rock. This is what I'm talking about, right? Right. Look at Davey. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Now you're saying I almost got it? Come on now.
I think so. You're saying you didn't?
That kind of back control, I think Davey's exaggerating.
Look at your concentration. I mean, you're bearing down right there. You're grinding.
And so now you know I can't see Davey. I don't even know if Davey's there, actually.
Oh, he's there. I think Augie might have been added later, since he's just staring in awe of what you're doing.
I remember doing that. And Augie was there. The ball just seemed to gravitate toward Davey somehow. I don't know how that happened.
It's a ball magnet. He's a magnet for a lot of things.
I always pulled the baseball when I played.
Well, we're looking forward to your instructional tonight. You actually broke out a few road instructionals this year out in San Diego. That was nice.
And Mark Grant and Mark Sweeney.
Well, they're just now starting the instructionals in San Diego, so they needed a little
guidance,
a little prodding. You know, they needed a mentor.
Yeah.
My fear with Mark Grant is those could go on for a while. I mean, he's like a steady stream of thought.
Right. They do theirs before the game, though.
Oh, and then Lucroy with a base hit. There's a base runner. Brewers down 5. Need a few more of those.
Yeah, went down and got that one. Off speed pitch by Marshall, and Lucroy able to wade back. Slider, and Jonathan goes down and gets it, finds the hole into left field. Good piece of hitting by Luke.
Well, Lucroy with his first hit. He's 1 for 4 tonight, and it's going to be Brooks Conrad pinch hitting for Travis Ishikawa. Conrad, the switch hitter. Better matchup against Marshall, looking for his first hit of the season. Conrad called up to replace Matt Gamble on the roster. He was a red hot hitter in AAA when the Brewers called him up, hitting over 400. 32 years of age, Southern California. Brooks Conrad.
He's always been a good pinch hitter.
Now the Reds scoring 5 runs in the 4th inning, adding 1 in the 9th. Marco Estrada is on the hook for the loss. Final number is not indicative of how well he pitched, as Conrad is down on strikes and the Brewers are down to their last out. 2 Ks for Sean Marshall.
There's that big curveball, and Conrad just not able to hold up. It's got such a big break on it, and clearly Conrad goes after it.
Marshall at 6'7" brings a lot of arc to that breaking ball. Here's his Turris now. And to roll, and he goes. That will do it. The Brewers drop to 5 games under 500 as the Reds defeat Milwaukee by a final score of 6-1. Bronson Arroyo beats Marco Estrada. And a big home run from Jay Bruce, part of a 5-run 4th. Much more still to come here. Craig Kashan standing by. What do you have coming up for us on Brewers Live, Craig?
Well, Brian, of course, we're going to catch up with Ron Renneke, the Brewers skipper. Brewers in a little funk right now, not the way they wanted to start out here on the homestand. We'll talk about it, break it down, and that big 4th inning for the Reds as well.